We're going to go over the user interface for Sparrow OS. Shift Escape is abort. So if we're editing a document, we abort. When you view, you edit. So you do Shift Escape to Shift Escape is like your back key in a browser. So Shift Escape is abort and Escape is exit. So the command line feeds into a C compiler. So if you say put s hello, that goes into a C compiler, and there's hello printed. If you say 1 plus 2 times 3, we got 7. The answer was 7. If we create a function, it gets stored in memory. So there's a trick. If you have a string outside of a or if you have a string statement, then that's treated as a put s, goes to standard out, or printf if it has arguments. Now we can say count to 10. Now you end with a semicolon. Oh, I didn't do carriage return. You can't edit. You can display it. Unassemble function. First, let's count to 100. That should be interesting. Anyway, it has word wrap. Anyway, unassemble function count. So this is 64-bit assembly. These 32-bit instructions are actually 64-bit. It saves a byte. They're 64-bit. Anyway, I use enter and leave instructions around functions, and I use the return address with the number of args to pop. So there's one argument going into count. So we pop that. That's 8 bytes, 64 bits. Anyway, so if you hit Shift Escape at the command line, it kills the task. And now we're looking at the wallpaper, and you can see the this is the task list. These are the CPUs. This is the CPU load up at the top. Anyway, this is the Adam task. He's that's like Adam and Eve. He's the first task created at startup. And anyway, this blue is word stat. This is for automatic type ahead and automatic completion and looking up symbols and stuff. So if we want to look up put s, you type put s, and then up here it appears in word stat F2. So Shift F2. If it has a star, then it's got a code for that. Shift F2 brings us to put s. Anyway, Alt M maximizes. That's actually a user customized. Control Alt is system wide, like Control Alt Delete. Control Alt Tab switches task. Control Alt Z zooms in on a cursor. Control Alt Shift C zooms out. Control left Adobe scroll. Control left mouse button is like an Adobe scroll. Anyway, so you don't need to write scrolling code for your applications, and you don't need to do zoom. Anyway, up at the top is a pull down menu. This is for the focus task. Anyway, now you cursor up off the bottom, kind of like a Commodore 64. Space bar is left click. Carriage return is right click. left click is edit. So here's a C function of void, void, and then it's printing hello. So you can hit F5 like Visual Studio, and it runs it. Shift Escape kills the task. Then Shift Escape aborts out of this editor. Now if we carriage return on this, then we get a right click menu, and we can either static compile, that's compile ahead of time, or just in time. So we just in time compiled it, and the main at the bottom called it. Anyway, so so the Windows key, there's a menu, personal menu, Control M gets to a personal menu. This is a document with macros for typing is pleasant if you use cursor keys and spacebar. It's unpleasant when you have to struggle. So you Control M, or I just did Control B, puts the border. This menu up at the top gets to your menu. Anyway, so there's icons. These are just pictures with macros. We can do this flight simulator. It's a 6. I use 6 cores. I'm in VMware right now. Anyway, so I'm in a flight simulator, diving for fish. Anyway, so Shift Escape exited. Now dir star does a directory. Dir default parameters from C++. Now I said, okay, well, if I don't need parentheses if I have no arguments, no parameters. Anyway, so that's a change. The other change was what we said, a string by itself. Now, if we have a home directory, cd, do a directory dir. I have my personal menu is not showing up. What I did is I made, when I compiled my kernel, I set ts tad as the account. So there's no path. It doesn't search for files when you type at the command line. But when you include, it does search for files. Anyway, when it searches for a file, if it doesn't find it, it searches the parent. So let me explain how this Control M works. If I hit Control M for my menu, what it's actually doing is searching my home directory, which is ts tad. It's searching that for personal menu. Now if we go to the parent, here's personal menu, and this is the document. So if it didn't find it in my home directory, it searches the parents. So I put company-wide defaults in the ts directory. This is ts, and then there's a system-wide defaults in the accounts directory. So you customize only what you need, and it defaults to what's in the parent directories. I have a registry, localizations for time zone, and then personal notes. This is my to-do list. Control Shift M does that. Anyway, so let's do a macro. Control M. I'll Control S to save this, and then quit. What I did is, I didn't do a macro yet. Let's go to my home directory. Do a directory. Now we have a personal menu. Because I'm starting to customize, what it did is I got tricky. The name was the lower directory, but it fetched it from the upper directory. So if we save it, it goes to the lower directory, which is what you want. Anyway, so we're going to do a widget, a macro. Let's just do home macro cd home directory character return. Escape saves this form and exits. Shift escape would abort, cancel. So now I just made now I'm gonna hit Control S to save it. Now if I do spacebar on here, okay, now it wasn't at the bottom of the command line, so the text got confused. So let's cancel out. Control arrow keys jumps to the top, to the bottom, to the left, to the right. Now I hit Control M. Now let's do home. Okay, there's the macro. So if I hit Shift Escape, we kill this task. Shift Escape is. Now there's a terminal window down here. And here's WordStat. This is autocomplete. Put S. Control Shift F2. There's autocomplete. Let's look for directory. dir. Control Shift F1. So the default mask is star, and it'll actually do a full directory. So if you say dir, you don't need, if there's a default, you can doesn't have to be at the end. You can just skip it, and so we're going to do true. Now we got cluster numbers and long dates with years. Anyway, now there's a F1 is help. This is really nice. There's a quick start command line quick start. So dir, you want to know. Ed is edit, or that's if you want a new file. Drive is you change drives or change directories. You can change with the drive letter, change directory. That's different from DOS. Home is valid. Now there's a command called line count. Anyway, Control Shift F1. I want to explain Control Shift F. Line count rep. So you have the files mask, and then you have flags. Files. We want to go from the root directory. Oh, let's do FF. Find file slash from the root. We want to search for any file starting at the root that has how about personal in it? Personal, and then star. Oops. What happened? Maybe I'm doing backslash. I've been using you use /. Okay, there we go. These are all the files with personal in it. So that the interesting thing here is that you tell it where to start, and then it goes recursive. Some of these have we can do find. Anyway, F, and these links are active. Anyway, so that's enough.